So welcome to day 8 of your challenge. We're nearly there, 3 more to go. So same as before, 50 seconds exercise, 10 seconds rest, 10 exercises. Let's get started with day 8. We're going to start in our squat position, wide leg squat, and we're going down to the floor and up. So I'm going to get ourselves started here. So legs nice and wide. We're going to come down and up. So just touching those fingertips. We're wanting those hips to drop back so those knees aren't going over those toes. We can still think of keeping that line through our spine. Don't be tempted to stare down at your hands. They're going to do that touch irrelevant of whether you're staring at them. And up. Keep yourself going. Try and keep that breathing quite regular. Whatever breathing pattern you have. Quite regular. We've got 10 seconds left of this exercise. Keep yourself going. Remember, the point is to keep moving. On to our 10-second rest. We're going to pick a spot roughly in the middle of our mat. We're going to go into our side lunge with step. So hands onto those hips, spine nice and tall. We're going to come out and down and down. So just stepping to the side, allowing yourself that little bit of work through that bent leg and up again. We can still think of keeping this pelvis nice and flat. Think of that spine tall. Again, try not to be tempted to stare down at your feet. They're going to be working. Keep that pelvis nice and straight. You can use that hand position just to check in with that pelvic line. Keeping ourselves going. Ten seconds rest. We're going to stay standing for the next one. We're going to do a little bit of work into our obliques. So hand behind your head, nice and gently. We're going to lift up and across. So try and keep those elbows wide. Temptation is to come a little bit into Jane Fonda. We want those obliques to bring you in though. Try and keep the pace that you've picked. First off, try not to fall over. Get that balance and work across into those obliques. Keep that breathing regular. In and out. Good. And that's our 10 seconds. Coming down onto the mat, we're going to come through onto our back. Again, hands behind your head. We're going to come up into our crisscross, legs to tabletop, off we go. So obliques to that alternate side, lengthen that leg. And again, elbows wide as we bring that oblique across. Lengthening out that leg and in. Try and keep the pace that you started with. However tempting it might be to slow a little, keep yourself going. Lengthening through that leg. Remember to modify if you need. You might just want to do your obliques. But pick the level that you feel is challenging for you. Keep your breathing going. Elbows wide. Good, that's our 10 seconds rest. We're going to come around into our 4-point kneel position. We're going to do a little bit of work into these bums. So we're going to lift that left knee up, that right knee up off the ground and down. Up and down. So keep that 4-point kneel nice and still. We want that pelvis pointing down to the ground, not rotating at all. Keep a nice even weight through those hands and fingers. You shouldn't just feel it through the wrist. Lift and lower, just with that right leg to begin with. We want the line from your left knee to hip to be nice and straight. So we're not peeling off to one side for weight bearing. Lift and lower. Keeping that knee nice and bent. Good, that's our 10 seconds rest. We're going to do the same with that left knee, so staying into our 4-point kneel position. Holding ourselves up nice and tall, and up and down we go. So same again. Gently hover that knee down above the mat and lift. And keep that pelvis nice and flat. Imagine that cup of coffee in your lower back that you don't want to spill. Lift and lower. Up and down. Thinking again a little bit about that belly button, gentle lift up to your spine. You want those shoulders to be nice and open. We want to be nice, controlled into that 4-point kneel. Even weight bearing through that position. Lift and lower. Keep yourself going, nearly time for a rest. Good, that's your 10 seconds rest. We're going to come back onto our back again. We're going to come up into our hundreds position, so arms at our side, fingertips pointing down. We're going to lift ourselves to our hundreds. We're going to pulse. You might want to stick into this position. You might want to lengthen one leg. You might want to lengthen two. So pick the level that works for you. We want you to have a bit of a challenge, so don't make it too easy. And just gently pulsing those hands. Make sure you're breathing. Now you can drop your legs a little lower, take them a little higher. You can keep them into the tabletop, whichever position works for you. Keep yourself going from there. If you feel like you need a little breather, you might just want to change leg position rather than stopping. Bring one leg down to the mat if you need, but try and hold yourself moving for this 50 seconds. My legs are shaking. Keep yourself going. Time for a little breather. We're going to come round onto our side. Again, we're going to go for our full hold into the side, but down onto your forearm if you need, or long line. We're going to lift up, lengthen that leg. We're going to lift and lower. I've slightly got my sofa in the way. We're going to keep that spine nice and straight, so really think about that position. If you're struggling with this hand, make sure you come down into your forearm position. You can either work from here, or you can lift yourself up through the side there. If you're able to, take yourself up tall. Hold into there, control that leg lift. Up and down. Hopefully you won't have a sofa at the end of your toes. Be a bit easier for you. I always position the mat wrong. Lift and lower. Try and keep the pace that you started with. 10 seconds rest. We're going to turn ourselves round to the other side, and again ideally up onto this arm, but if you need to modify, please do. We're going to lift that spine up so we're nice and straight, leg out, lift and lower. And again, nice and controlled. Think about that spinal position. Lift and lower. Again, if you do need to modify, down onto your forearm, you can lift that way, or you can lift yourself up into a half position. Ideally though, arm out nice and straight, lift through that position, lift and lower. Whichever position, we're looking for that nice straight spine, control through that lower back, lift and lower of that leg. If you're finding this a little bit hard, you can do some step-ins. So again, do feel confident to modify whichever movement you're doing to suit yourself. We just want you moving. Down for our rest there. We're going to come round for our last exercise. We're going to come through into our tall plank and into our mountain climber position. So lifting ourselves up, just knee in and out. Again, thinking about the weight load through those fingers, so it's not just the wrists. Your collarbones wide, shoulders wide. Keep that spine nice and stable. In and out. Breathing nice and regular. It's our last exercise for this day 8 session. Keeping ourselves going. In Last 10 seconds. So keep the pace you started with. And we're gonna have our little breather there. So well done. I'm quite out of breath. That's day 8 completed. I'll see you for day 9.
Activity completed.
Even my watch is telling me it's completed.